Welcome along to Obviously Fight Talk episode 35. It's a home edition again. We had a busy weekend, let's be honest, lads. So I'm joined, as always, by #WinDecision, Mr. Robert Palin.
Hello.
And is it officially Big Daddy Carl Doran now?
It is officially Big Daddy Carl Doran now. A woman let me put my penis in
or
it.
as you were called on Saturday night, Dirty Carl Doran.
Yeah, Dirty Doran.
So as always, we're brought to you in association with MMAMix.com. For all your mixed martial arts needs, check them out. They're obviously good because they're with Obviously Fight Talk. Big shout out to our host where we normally come from, the Whiskey Fair in Dunleary. If you want a good pint or a bit of good food, check them out. Check out their function rooms for all your needs as well. So gentlemen, let's kick it off. Let's get straight back into a little time constraint. Some of us have to work today, notably not Rob. So lads, we were at BAMMA at the weekend. We burst our cherry, or popped our cherry I should say, and our first day of media duty. So before we go into it, lads, how did you just find the whole aspect of getting in there and doing what we done on Saturday?
I think it's hilarious that like Ariel Hawani and all them moan about how hard media is. It's fucking easy. It's easy. Just none of them cunts I used to a bit of hard graft.
Carl, a minute. I from my perspective, it was completely different to MCing. It was, it was great. It was great meeting all the fighters like that and sort of getting the interviews and the reactions. And it was great mixing with all the other media outlets as well, the likes of Severe, Fight Star, all the other guys as well. It was great. Like speaking to Fairgrind and all them lads, it was great. Yeah. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Let's dive into the card, will we?
Yeah, let's go.
So our opening fight of the night was Dave Fogarty taking on Barry Hannah. It was an amateur bout, but it certainly didn't look like it was two amateurs in there. It was a highly competitive fight. Both displayed great skills. Barry Hannah in the first round was using his strike and he was pumping out a lovely double jab and finishing in most combinations with nice leg kicks. Dave Fogarty then started to find his range, was looking to mix it up and try and get it taken down to the mat. Hannah showed some great takedown defense, but as Dave said in his interview with us that you can find on Obviously Fight Talk on YouTube, Dave was saying, it's a pick your poison situation. If you want to roll with me on the ground, you're going to swim with a shark, Carl. There's your reference.
Yeah.
But you pick your poison basically because you pick your part in the feet. And Dave got the decision via split decision. So what did we think of the opener, lads?
I thought it was a really good fight. I thought the level for amateurs was really, really high. We obviously seen Dave fight a few times. I've seen Barry once, I think. But I thought the level was really, really good. I thought it was a close fight. Same Dave thought he won it fairly handily. But, just from sitting cage side, I thought it was quite close. I did score to Dave, but I thought it was quite close. But the level struck me. That was a really, really high level for an amateur bout, which is which happens a lot in Ireland. I think the amateurs in Ireland are very, very good. So that's what I took from the fight. But it was a very good fight, very high level for amateurs, definitely.
Yeah, it was. It was, as you said, it was a cracking fight. Very, very competitive. I would have been in the same boat. People were saying that was a landslide win for Dave, and I scored it for him, but it was very, very close. It was by no means a blowout,
a good fight though as well for Dave.
Yeah.
As well. Obviously Dave's coming off getting silver in the world, so his confidence is high as well. But walking out, that was Dave's first MMA fight in Ireland. To walk out in the tree arena as your first bout, it's pretty impressive. To get the decision, and three rounds will do him good as well going forward. And
it was a striking battle as well, where usually his fights would go to the ground, and we didn't get too much of that. So definitely a learning experience from him as well in there.
Yeah, definitely. And again, Dave, as we were saying in the interview as well, he's going to be competing in the Euros by silver medal in the Worlds. He automatically qualified. So he was going to say he was going to compete in some jiu-jitsu tournaments leading up to that. But next up, MMA, it looks like it's going to be the Euros in Czech Republic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So then moving on, the next bout of the evening, we have Ben Forsyth. Again, another 3-round war on this one. Ben gets the nod in a unanimous decision over Pelu Abdullah, we're going with.
Yeah.
good fight again. Two light heavyweights, and there was an eye poke. Was that in the second or third round, lads? I just wasn't cage side watching.
I think Carl was the only one that could really get to see most of this.
Yeah, that would have been, Jesus, I'm trying to remember now. So many fights.
Fourth, I think it was fourth round.
No, it wasn't. It was nowhere near the fourth round.
No, it was either second or third. Yeah, just Ben is. We joked on it before, saying Ben is more pullouts than a porn star when he's fighting. He seems to get a lot of opponents pulling out against him, and Ben wasted no time in the aftermath calling for Carl Moore UFC Belfast. Now again, that seemed to be the trend of the evening, wasn't it? Everyone who got a win seemed to mention them three letters, followed by the city of Belfast. But yeah, a big win for Ben. That moves Ben to 2-0. So Carl Moore will be a good fight. Will it happen on UFC? Probably not, but it's always worth a while to put it out there on that big event. It could. UFC could be a prelim. I did mention to Ben maybe Clan Wars on the 4th of December could slot that in as well.
Most likely, I think, yeah. As well, one thing we'll say is that you'll probably hear us say one of us saw this fight or two of us saw this fight because there was a bit of running around trying to get interviews, watching the fight. There was a bit of a mess up with the screen, so some of the fights, one of us or two of us probably didn't even get to see on the night. So once it goes up on YouTube, we rewatch. But I think we all seen most of the fights between us anyway. So
earlier on the night, the first few fights in the night, there was no monitor upstairs. So we sort of had to have a watcher. So we were running down, and like Carl would be running up saying this happened. Then you get the interview. And
then a live Google Hangout on the screen.
They went live then on YouTube, so that made it a lot easier for all of us. Friend of the show, former guest Gary Dumbtruck Morris took on Darren O'Gorman, and what again? I didn't see any of this fight, but it was a very highly competitive fight. Darren O'Gorman, you can see in all his post-fight interviews, was heavily busted up. So Gary had done very well. I believe it was people were scoring the first round for Gary, second round for Darren, and then Darren got a rear naked choke in the third round. So hard luck to Gary Dumbtruck Morris in that one. Next fight of the evening, rather than running through the card, we'll be here all day, lads. If we do that. One of the big highlights of the evening was Johnny Jitsu Redmond pulling off a Mark Hunt walk-away knockout, I think it's fair to say.
It's just that was fucking crazy to watch. Yeah. Crazy. We sitting in the media area, and we're all supposed to be fucking professional. Everybody was on their feet. Yeah. Absolutely everybody. That was incredible.
I think my words were holy fucking shit.
It was one of the probably the better knockouts I've seen live at a show. But you could see it coming. They were both throwing the exact same combination about 6 times in a row. It was whoever landed it, and then Johnny landed it, and
it was a highly competitive first round.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Johnny sort of edged the first round with control on the ground and stuff. Even though Glenn got the takedown, Johnny got it reversed and sort of held in a north-south position, and then sort of moved to side control as well. So Johnny, you would have scored the fight 10-9 to Johnny in the first round, and they had made a gentleman's agreement on Nicky Burns' show there during the week for the last 30 seconds to stand and bang. I think they turned around and said to one another, fuck that script and let's just do it now. And the two of them threw leather. Glenn landed and caught Johnny, and then Johnny landed and caught Glenn, and then Glenn came forward, and then Johnny it was a phenomenal right hand, and it was like turning your lights off at home. The switch just went off, and
face planted. It was
walk away knockout, stunning.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It done the rounds on Facebook as well. Like everybody was talking about it, and I can't wait to see when they put it up on YouTube. I'm assuming they will, hopefully. But yeah, beautiful competitive fight, as you said, in the first round. But big win for Johnny, especially considering he came back from the retirement, came off that loss, but then got that big win, that big knockout win. That's 2 in a row now. So, it's looking up.
The big thing though that Johnny was saying, lads, when he was speaking to us post-fight, was he felt, he was depleting himself by dropping the down past 185.
Yeah.
He just feels at 185. He feels stronger, but he also feels, a big thing I took from it was he feels he can also take a shot.
Yeah.
I know the idea is to try and avoid them, but at the same time, let's be honest, in a fight, a lot of the times you are going to get caught. And Johnny just felt in his previous fights, notably against Reece McKee, he said he felt he was getting wobbled when he was getting hit at the lower weights, while he took big shots from Glenn in this. And he could take them, as you've seen. He took them and then landed back. But it was, I think the second round lasted 19 seconds, and it was just 19 seconds of chaos, wasn't it?
Yeah, like that. Me and Robert were saying it. Like, it goes to show you how much that Johnny was actually depleting himself. I don't know how he made welterweight.
Yeah.
Being there and seeing him in person, he's fucking huge.
Yeah.
I didn't realise how big John was. He was actually gigantic. Like, what's John? About 6'2", 6'1"?
Yeah, 6'2", 6'3", I'd say.
Yeah, like, and just fucking built like a barn. Like, he's bleeding gigantic.
Big, yeah.
How he made welterweight, I don't know. That's crazy.
But it's great to see, as Johnny said, records are for DJs and all that, but the old analogy, especially with MMA fans, because MMA fans are quite fickle. Like, if someone gets a defeat and they could have 10 wins before that, it's like, he's brutal. Do you know what I mean? So now you look at Johnny, his last 2 fights have been 2 highlight reel knockouts,
Yeah.
So get on that momentum, Johnny, and keep pushing forward. And congratulations to him. And again, Glenn Irvine, that was only Glenn's professional debut again on a big stage. And Glenn is a very talented young fighter, and I've no doubt that Glenn will learn from that and come back stronger. Again, I've always liked watching Glenn. He had a great amateur career. He was a champion of a lot of regional shows, so Glenn will come back stronger from that too.
Mm-hmm.
Your next bout of the evening is seeing Keith McCabe get the armbar off Aidan Brooks. In this one, unfortunately, this is a fight that I didn't get to witness. From a lot of people, talking to a lot of people, this is no disrespect to Aidan Brooks. Aidan Brooks is a world champion, K1, European champion K1 kickboxer. He's a phenomenal fighter. But from what I've heard from people, this was a mixed martial artist fighting a kickboxer fight. Got the takedown and got the armbar. Keith McCabe's an absolute beast of a man out of Team Rhino as well. Then moving up the card, just to fly through some of the results, we had Richie Smullen brought home another trophy, and this time it was Andrew Murphy's heel, winner by heel hook in the first round. Just seeing it actually there on YouTube. Again, this was another fight that, because we were running up and down, I personally didn't get to see. Speaking to Richie after, he'd said that he's not a one-trick pony. It is mixed martial arts, but at the end of the day, if a leg or an arm or a neck presents itself, he's going to take it. He explained on the takedowns, I liked his analogy. You know me, lads, I love my analogies. He basically explained the takedown and looking for submissions as a ladder.
A ladder, yeah.
So if your legs aren't there, well, he'll climb up, and if the arm becomes presentable, he'll take that. If that's not there, he'll climb the ladder and he'll take the neck. Love an analogy, me, and great performance by Richie Smullen as well, and spoke highly of everything that happens out of SBG with the young kids and stuff.
Yeah.
You can tell speaking to him, this is just a man who loves what he's doing. And he told us that he's scheduled to fight in Shinobi. No opponent confirmed as yet, but he will be on Shinobi. The next fight of the evening, this was when we were breaking down after, we were having a chat after, and we were like, who did we think stole the show, or, made a great statement? And, Johnny Redmond obviously did make a big statement, but for me, again, Sinead KO Kavanagh, KO by name, KO by nature, goes 3-0 in BAMMA and gets it done in the first round again, with a technical knockout. Phenomenal boxing.
Yeah.
It looks like any of the ladies she fights just can't handle her boxing. If they stand and trade with her, they're in serious trouble. Sinead went with the trend, but I think this, no disrespect to anybody else who sort of said it, because I think this card was full of a lot of guys who are very close to the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
But Sinead called for the UFC in Belfast, and I honestly think she has a legitimate claim for a position on that card. So this is one that I'll open the room and not just fly through the results. What did we think of this? Do we think it is a legitimate shout, considering the pool in the UFC? I honestly think Sinead Kavanagh could step into that pool.
She definitely has the talent to do it, but you're taking a risk with how many times she's missed weight.
Yeah, that's a big one, yeah.
That's the only thing. Sinead, obviously, she's a very dedicated person. She's doing it for all the right reasons, and she's a fantastic fighter. But that's the only thing that could possibly go against you, because if you're not making weight, the UFC aren't going to want to risk that. Anthony Rumble Johnson got cut because of that. So
yeah,
that's the only thing.
If she fixes that, and that wasn't an issue, then 100%, no doubt about it. Because she's fit, like, you don't get many. Well, you do get finishes in that division, but like knockout finishes and consistent knockout finishes, you don't really get that an awful lot. So, definitely somebody who could get in there, who could be competitive. But That's correct. She needs to sort out the whole weight thing, and she did talk about that as well. After the fight.
One thing I'd say as well, though, lads, like if you forgetting the weight issue, because I honestly think that would be corrected, you know.
Yeah.
But if one thing I would say is, for example, champion there at the moment is Amanda Nunes. You push Sinead in there with Amanda Nunes, and she'll hang with her. Do you know what I mean?
Fucking right.
She's a good striker. You know, it'd be interesting to see what Nunes would do. Would she stand and strike? But I know that's far away. I'm certainly not saying she should get Amanda Nunes. But I'm just saying, if you put her in there, I'm just thinking that she's the champion at the moment.
Yeah, skill for skill against a lot of the good people, the good girls, and the good fighters in that division. Yeah, I definitely say that she could be competitive 100%. Wouldn't doubt that at all. Yeah.
And then I'll let you take the floor on this one. The D1 Mafia, Ryan Curtis gets the unanimous decision against Sam Zulhaig in a 3-round domination. I think Kurt, was quite funny when you were interviewing him, Rob. He turned around and he said, they're all bleeding decision merchants. And he was going on, he went, now I know I finished decision tonight, so I can't go off with the big one. But it was a very one-sided decision.
No, it was, yeah.
In fairness to his opponent, when Curto was landing big shots on the ground, he was doing enough just to make the referee let it continue. He was fighting it off, but it was weird. Like, you guys were very nervous. You could tell you knew Ryan. You were very nervous watching the fight. If Heg threw like a big wild overhand, he's like going, so that was the only worry, is that if he was a very wild style. He had a lot of fights under his belt as well. So it was a good 3 rounds for Curto, especially his first professional fights, which is crazy, in Dublin. But yeah, you take it away there, and you sing your praises of the young man, and he gave a great interview to you as well, Rob. So
yeah, it was a great fight. I thought Ryan done some really good things. I thought, as I said in the interview, his ground and pound was what really impressed me. At that weight, you don't really see it that much. You usually see guys trying to pass, trying to control position. But he did throw some big shots, and I was surprised that he got out of first round. Now the second and third, I thought Hamsul, is that say his name? Samsul, or can't even pronounce his name. But I thought he had done a good job not getting hit with the big shots. He done a really good job at that. He was trying to get Ryan into a bit of a brawl, but he done a good job staying away from the big shots. But the first round was very, very impressive, and it was just dominant all the way through. Yeah, like, there's not too much else to say about the fight. It was just kind of one-way traffic, but there was a lot of things that Ryan done, especially in the ground and pound. I thought his distance control at times was really, really good. Like, he did get caught into a brawl at times, but when he was staying technical, he was staying out of the range and staying out of into his range. So it was a really, really good fight, I thought.
Yeah, like, when you see, it's actually mad with Ryan, because Ryan's come up now, like most of the lads that have just, turned pro, and this is their third or second fight or whatever at pro. He come up through the MMA scene with amateurs that it was basically a pro division.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they come up, they weren't wearing the shin guards, they weren't wearing the rash guards, and obviously elbows and stuff weren't allowed there, but that helped him transition very much over into the professional scene now. And, like, you can see that Ryan's come from that era of fighters where they're just fucking tough bastards, like, you know what I mean? Like, Ryan broke his hand in that fight, or seriously injured his hand anyway, and we didn't see it. I didn't know he broke his hand. He just kept on fucking throwing it. We were looking at Uriah Faber's fight there from the other night, and you highlighted the fact that he stopped throwing his right hand. You thought his hand was broken. I haven't heard anything just yet if it is. But the fact that he stopped throwing it would make you think it is. Ryan didn't stop throwing his hand. He just kept on going. Just kept on going. Like, there wasn't even an eyebrow raised. Like, so the fact that that's only his third professional fight at home, and he broke his hand, and yet he won every single round, like, definitively.
I think the biggest take from that fight, and then someone who we'll talk about a little bit later, Reece McKee, is that these are guys who have small records pro, but it doesn't look like it. It really doesn't. It looks like they've had 10, 11, 12 fights. Yeah, very, very good. I think that's a testament to the Irish amateur division, or the amateur scene, because they don't look like they're amateurs. Like, they don't, not amateurs, but they don't look like they've just turned pro the last two years or so. They really don't. They're showing composure in there. They're showing very good skills. There's obviously still things that they can work on, there's always things you can work on, and they're still very, very young.
What you're saying, Rob, brings me back a little bit to last week's show where Stephen Moriarty was saying he honestly feels that we are one of the best nations in the world, fighting nations, and especially now in mixed martial arts, and people will start coming here, and you can see that in like the Worlds, that how many Irish fighters went over and medalled, and you'll see it in the Europeans again. The fighting talent, I've been saying it for years, like I get to see this firsthand at a lot of shows. Like I remember calling Ryan Curtis years ago out in like a Man of War and stuff like that in shows, and like a little monster, like, do you know what I mean, a little pocket monster, like. And it's the same, like, this card was flooded with them. Blaine O'Driscoll is another one. Reese McKee that we're going to talk about soon as well. But these were all on the regional. The talent pool in this country is absolutely phenomenal. And it's such a strong amateur background that these have that is just as to why they look so good at 3-0 and 4-0. But yeah, it was a big win for Ryan Curtis. I liked what he said about, even though I'm one of them posher areas that he was talking about. I liked the way he spoke highly about town and all the surroundings, and fair play to Ryan. The same with like the likes of Craig Coakley as well, former guest he mentioned as well. You know, fair play to you. And what I loved about what he said in the interview as well, he says, I'm not in my 30s, I'm not rushing. You know, the UFC will come for me. I'm not going to go running after them. Yeah,
Tuke said that as well. Remember when Tuke was on the show, he said a similar thing. So it's a good mentality, I think, to have. Don't rush it. It's going to happen. Just let it happen.
Yeah. They're only young. They're only pups. So, you know what I mean?
It's like walking up the anal. Just take your time. Just take your time. You'll get there. Make sure the area is nice and lubricated. And you'll slide in easily. Just keep going. There you go. Good analogy there for you.
Well done.
You want to see Carl last night with the what was the? It was the puns. You kept doing a pun from Eminem puns. Through the whole UFC event you were watching, and he's just like, oh, look at him, his palms are sweaty, knees weak, all this, like, just kept going, just kept saying it. Some of them were terrible, but some of them were great.
Yeah, some of them were great. It was
like, you want to watch it. Some bad dad jokes.
Yeah, you want to watch your head movement there, because if you get caught, you could die though.
Whatever I am, whatever you say I am.
Nice.
Next bout of the evening is seeing Blaine O'Driscoll get the victory over Mark Andrew, the SBG man, beating the Next Gen man. Again, this is a fight that we sort of watched as we were interviewing Curto upstairs, so it was on the background. It looked like it was a controlled ground game from Blaine O'Driscoll that got the decision. Again, this is a fight that I'll be watching back when it's released. We have to check it out. It just unfortunately we didn't get to speak to Blaine. Whatever it was, but between different ones, we missed out on Blaine. So Blaine, we will get you the next time, my man. So a good victory for the SPG man. Moving up, this was the fight that a lot of people were looking forward to seeing, was Rhys Skeletor McKee stepping back in there against a world champion kickboxer in Tommy McCafferty. This was going to be one of the highlighted fights. We touched on this with Rhys when he was on the show, that this was the second time they were matched originally for UXC. So they got in there, and Rhys does what he does again. 58 seconds, round one, against such a high accomplished striker, and Rhys puts him out. Lands a big right hand to drop him. Cavity sort of would look like he was holding the leg, looking for a sort of a knee bar or trying to get a leg lock of some sort, and Rhys just landed shots after shots after shots to make Mr. Daniel Mulcahy step in and wave it off. A couple of people questioned it. We spoke to Dan. Dan said the eyes were gone. It was, you know, as we said to Rhys said it was something like 11 unanswered shots. Perfectly legitimate stop for us. Speaking to Rhys afterwards, he was saying he had a lot of injuries in this camp, and he basically trained a boxing camp due to it. Didn't look that way at all, did it?
No.
This kid is just seriously talented.
Yeah. I can't get over it again. I'll repeat it, that he has so little pro fights. I know he had a very good amateur career, had a lot of amateur fights, but I think one of the guys who you look at and you're going to say that guy will be a superstar, you know. And it wouldn't surprise me if he got a call to the UFC in Belfast. Like, they're going to be looking at guys up there like the Philpotts, like McKee. Don't have to go back to Park. Maybe they will. They'll have a look at Norman Park again. But it wouldn't surprise me, even though he only has 4. Is that 4 now?
4-0.
4-0. Even though he only has 4 pro fights, we've seen guys going in there. Like, unusual circumstances. They're kind of unusual circumstances. But if the UFC done looking for a fight in Ireland just before that, like, is anybody going to argue?
Do you know how many fucking fighters you're going to get out of that program?
Yeah.
That's what I was.
That's
I
the
was
crazy
only
thing.
saying that the other night. I think it was one of the lads off Fight Star. I was saying, fucking Dana White and Matt Serra were here now. Half the card to be on fucking Belfast.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Serious talent. Like, if you look, you look at that episode, you always highlight a card and you always go through it. Reece McKee would have a star beside him. I think Ryan Curtis would have a star beside him. Sinead Kavanagh would have a star beside him. And they'd be there going, right, Jesus, we're spoiled for choice here. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, Dana, get over here and watch the talent, because we're flooded with it. Do you know what I mean?
It's like Summer Hill. Flooded. What was it? Yeah, like, you see with the lads there, like, I was just thinking there, how young they are in their careers and how far they have to go. Like, by the time they're 28, what's their records going to be?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if they keep going on the upward trend that they're going on, by the time they're that age, they're going to be able to stop basically doing sparring rounds in the gym. To give their careers longevity, they'll be around for that much longer. Everybody's like, especially in Ireland now, fighter safety is such a huge thing. And all the gyms here, like, all the head coaches, they're very, very smart people. They know exactly that in sparring, you need to be very careful to avoid head trauma and all this sort of stuff and give you a career longevity. These lads are that young that by the time they're 26, 27, 28, cutting out sparring completely, they'll be around for a long time. Like,
Cowboy Cerrone says he doesn't spar anymore.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
Like, you shouldn't. Like, at a certain point,
they drill more.
Yeah, exactly. At a certain point, like, in your career, you've been in so many fights, you know that feeling. That's all you need to do then, is just do the drills. You don't need to spar. Like, so the lads there,
not hard anyway.
Yeah, the lads there that we're talking about, they're gonna be around for a long time.
But that's what one thing I'd say. Reece McKee is should be in the same thought process as well. As much as, don't get me wrong, I know it's in Belfast, so it's up on Reece's doorstep in so many ways. But he should be looking at the Ryan Curtis Avenue as well. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So if I was Reece, now obviously if you get the phone call, you're going to jump at it. But I'd be looking at that gold belt in BAMMA now.
Yeah, like, there's a part of me as well that you're saying, it'd be great to see them get to the UFC, but they still are very young. I'd like to see them get a few more fights on the local scene and even with BAMMA, because BAMMA is a huge show. Like, huge. You can't not say that. It's like, it's not nice when you go to a BAMMA show and all the questions are, is the UFC next? I'm sure they don't like that, but it's just the question that is there because the UFC are coming over quite soon. But that's exactly it. It
aligns with
exactly, And last week we had the head of communications on, and he said that they were going to actually go to Belfast the same date or the same month. So they got trumped. But I'd like to see the guys who are doing very well here to get a couple more fights, maybe get to 7, 8-0 before they go to the UFC. But if it happens, it happens. Like, what can you do?
It'd be great to see.
Talking about lads doing really well. Sorry, Carl, do you want to say something?
It'd be great to see, like, the likes of Reece and Ryan there going on and getting that fucking BAMMA gold before they go to the UFC. Not only that, like, it gives them it'll give them a bit more bargaining power going in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're coming in as champions.
If you look as well, Carl and Rob, if you look, like, Mark Diakhese, who's gone over, was a champion.
Yeah.
You look, Conor McGregor was a 2-time Cage Warrior champion before he went. Carl Pendred was a Cage Warrior champion. Neil Seery was a Cage Warrior champion. So, maybe follow that path, maybe become a European champion, or, you know what I mean, a world champion on a regional circuit or a European circuit, like the Cage Warriors or a BAMMA.
The only thing as well is the amount of pro shows they're going to be running in Ireland now isn't going to be as much as it used to be. So you're going to see the younger guys, if they do get a shot, it'd be more tempting to take that because, there's not going to be as many shows there used to be. Like, a couple of years ago, the likes of Dan Hardy, when he first got the call to the UFC, he refused. He said, no, I wanted more time. But then, if Reece or Corda or whoever gets a shot now, they're looking at, okay, how many fights can I get in Ireland now? There's not that many shows. I'll have to go to England. That kind of thing. So maybe it will push them. Not that you need any motivation to go to the UFC or any other big promotion, but it will push them more to say, all right, I'm going to get consistent fights there as well. So that's one thing to look at. Yeah.
Another one that was, I think this was the next fight was a huge fight. this was meant to happen a long time ago. As much as the professional records look like they're quite different, it's just because Peter Queally went pro and got more fights. He was due to fight Joe McColgan a long time ago, and it never happened. This was a huge statement by Joe McColgan. He looked absolutely phenomenal. His striking in there, his body shots were phenomenal. Peter Queally tried his best to close the distance, put him up against the cage. A couple of people were saying they thought Peter could have got the nod due to controlling the fight up against the cage. So what did we think of this fight in regards to that?
No, I think it was the right decision.
Yeah,
in
me
the end.
too. Yeah.
Joe, you know, without being disrespectful, put a beating on Peter. It was, you know, at times there was punches and elbows landing and body shots landing, and I was actually wincing watching it. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah.
It was a very, very good performance from Joe. He showed how good he is.
It was a world-class performance.
Yes.
World-class.
Proper breakout performance.
Exactly. He was fucking phenomenal. Like, that fight now has left me salivating at the mouth. I can't wait to see his next fight.
And if you look at it, like, from all the talk, Peter Queally was very close to the Tim Means fight, only for visa reasons.
Yeah.
So you look at that, you know, McColgan's going to steal all that thunder. Do you know what I mean? All that momentum, and he just looked absolutely phenomenal. He was quite. I think there's a little bit of Diaz blood in there, you know.
He was talking to him in there,
talking shit and throwing the hands up, but he was landing. It was phenomenal. It was
a great
one of the most
performance,
impressive performances of the night, I have to say, against a high-level opponent in Peter Queally. Peter Queally is no fucking joke. That man is legit. Like, he trains every day with Conor McGregor and out of that beast of a team in SBG. But I seen there was a post shared up, and it was basically calling Joe McColgan the SBG killer. He called for Artem Lobov, by the way, after the fight. And he just, Joe McColgan, looked unbelievably unbelievable in there. It was a world class performance. World class. Yeah.
I won't say too much because we're on time constraints, but brilliant performance. Loved it.
Then the next bout of the evening, we got the long awaited return of Paul Reza Redmond, taking on the very dangerous Chris the Menace Stringer. A great fight. And I was delighted, I have to say, talking to Paul after a post fight and also hearing his other post fight interviews. I was delighted to show that he was signaling how good a fighter Chris Stringer is. Stringer has been fighting UFC veterans before, before it was cool, if you like. So this was when I seen this matchup, I was like, Jesus, this is a really tough fight. Like, it's a great fight. Reza said that he did feel a lot of ring rust in there. He said, but I'm sure Stringer felt ring rust. He hadn't fought MMA in over 3.5 years. But it was a good performance by Paul Redmond, getting the takedowns, controlling the fight that way. He knew that Stringer's was an elite striker. But it was a really good fight, I think, for Redmond. And I said it to him, do you feel like that washed the ring rust off, you know? We also spoke about, there's a rumour that BAMMA is returning. It was circulating all night on Saturday that they're coming back in December. Reza was like, a few bob for Christmas wouldn't be too bad. But what did we think of that fight?
Good fight, tough fight. Didn't get to watch the whole thing because we were kind of up and down. We were talking to people and whatever. But it looked like a really competitive fight. As Paul said, I'd like to see Chris fight a little bit more. But he was very impressive in there. I think it surprised some people just because the name that Paul has. But it was a close fight. I thought, not close, but it was a competitive fight. Thought Paul definitely won the fight. But I'd like to watch it back just because, as I said, we were kind of up and down talking to people, didn't get to watch the full thing. But it's good to see him back in there though, and I'd like to see him back in there as soon as possible because he took some time off there in the lead up to this show because of the postponements and whatnot. But good fight,
What I liked about it was I put the question as well to Paul about a lot of people think he got a raw deal, and he straight away shut that down. He said, I didn't get a raw deal, I got a deal. And he said it didn't work out, and because I was basically saying that you only use that for motivation. He just Reza loves competing. He's a great fighter, and he is. Again, what I liked about what Reza said as well, he said, I'm 4-fight contract with BAMMA, so I'm not looking elsewhere. He's focused on that. You know, if the UFC want to come knocking, by all means, come knocking when the 4 fights are done. And I like that as well, you know. Reza's around the game a long time, trained out of a great camp there in Team Rhino. And I think that 3 rounds will do huge for him as well. It was a good fight. I want to watch it back again because we were watching it and interviewing and watching it and interviewing, but I want to watch it back. But it looked like a solid performance by Reza against the very dangerous Stringer. So it was a good fight. Moving on to the co-main event, the apprentice Alan Philpott was taking on Aaron Smackwell Blackwell. This one had a load of fucking hype behind it, huge hype. We had the two gentlemen on the show, and it was a good spat back and forward with a bit of trash talking. One of the best lines I've ever heard about Cluedo. The fight itself,
strange,
looked more like an Olympic
strange.
event.
Yeah.
Alan Philpott needs to work on his 100-meter sprint, I think.
Yeah.
But Philpott done what he had to do. Looked good. Very hard to have a fight when the other person doesn't want to fight you. No disrespect to Aaron Blackwell, but I just don't know what the game plan was.
I don't know if he was trying to counter, but there wasn't really any counters there. It was just more
to the stage where Alan was dropping his hands and literally looking at Dan Mulvaheady saying, like, what's happening? Like, is he going to fight me? And he fucking crawled in the cage, lads. He got down on his hands and knees and crawled in the cage.
He went full Diaz.
He went full Diaz, gave him the fingers, landed shots, start doing all capoeira kicks us in to say, come on, I'm giving you a chance, fight. Like, but just Blackwell didn't fight. It was disappointing in some ways, but at the end of the day, Alan Philpott, you can only beat what's put in front of you, and he done it in dominant fashion. Retains the belt. Loved what he done. Sang out Philpott's on fire. Tom Dugan was petrified or whatever he said. Absolutely. It's a great fight. Alan's promoting it brilliantly. For all the trash talking that Aaron Blackwell done up to it, I thought he might have got under Alan's skin a little bit. Proved not to be. Alan was completely dominant and controlled the fight from the first bell to the last bell.
Yeah, that's really it. Like, I don't think there's much else to say. Alan just fucking went out and done the job. Like, you know,
done what he had to do. It
was a weird fight, wasn't it?
Was a very, very weird fight. It's difficult to put words together to describe or even talk about it. It's just it happened. Like everyone around us was kind of like, wait, what's going on? Is he just kind of like that? So it was, no, it was a very peculiar fight. But like we said, Alan got the decision. I'm sure Blackwell will look back at it and maybe question what he was doing. You know, like when we spoke to Alan, you know, he's lovely. Seems like a really nice guy. We were back and forth to him before and after as big time. No good things to say about him, but strange game plan.
Disrespectful, but it was just a weird fight, and to see. At one stage, he literally turned and full sprinted away from Alan, and that's weird. And again, it happened a lot in the UFC that you will probably talk about later on. Alistair Overeem became an athlete too. But moving on then to the main event, and this was for the world title, and Rani Sadie beat Andy Young to retain that belt. Now, I have to be honest, I want to rewatch this.
Yeah, me too.
We were crowning a new champion.
Yeah, I thought Andy Young won the fight, but again, similar to everything that we talked about, most of the fights we didn't fully get to concentrate and watch, but everybody else in the media room, albeit they were all Irish, so I don't know if it's just, you know, when you're there, you want to be as impartial as possible, but as Luke Thomas would say, everyone is biased, and you just need to control that bias. But I did think Andy Young won that fight, but
I want to watch it
fair
back.
play. It was good fight.
I think it was fight of the night too.
No, it was a very, very good fight. It went everywhere. A lot of good scrambles. What I said in like the second round was if these were anything heavier above flyweights, it would have been over because they were landing some big shots. But it was a good fight.
This is another thing I would put to, and I don't know why it's not. I'm not too sure why. There's probably a reason. I'm just not sure. Why is it not a 5-round fight when it's a title fight?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
Ask BAMMA why that is.
What the reason for that is. But it was a great fight. Now, in saying that, I really do want to watch it back. But again, you know, Rani, congratulations to the champion retaining his belt. You know, he's coming and fighting in enemy territory, if you like. But it was a great fight. A great fight by both fighters. I want to watch it back because as we were watching it, but we were sort of focused on you had just interviewed Alan and stuff like that as well, so we were sort of looking at, I was interviewing Paul Redmond at the time, you know what I mean, we were just,
it was a bit of everything.
We were sort of watching and looking, and so I'd like to watch it back and give it my full attention, but it was a barn burner of a fight. And just to wrap up BAMMA 26, they lost a few fights on the day. Derek Kennedy, we had Jaffa cakes at the ready for you, Kennedy.
Noel ate them all in the end. Didn't give anybody any.
I don't eat Jaffa cakes. I don't like orange. Johnny Dargan got called off. I'm not too sure the reason. Apparently, it was something to do with the new regulations. I'm not 100% sure, so we don't really want to say. It was called off. And the same with Charlie Ward's fight as well. It got called off as well. But it didn't take, as much as I'm sure the fighters were all disappointed in that sense, from the event itself, the 26 card had a lot of issues with injuries and pullouts and stuff, and change of opponents, but it still delivered. It was a great night in the 3 arena for BAMMA and for MMA here in Ireland. It showcased a lot of fantastic talent that we have gone through, sort of in quite a lot of depth. I didn't realise we'd be talking about.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get through the 2 cards in this time.
Yeah, but phenomenal night. It was great winners. Congratulations to all the winners. Commiserations to the people who didn't get to W. But thank you for your entertainment. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was great to speak to all the fighters after as well. But as an event itself, you know, I don't know, capacity is very hard to tell when you're there, because a lot of people will be out smoking them cigarettes and buying them pints. But it looked like what was there, it was fairly full.
Yeah, I'd say
20% full.
I'd say somewhere in the region of about 5,000 to 6,000
Yeah,
people.
like they block off the top tier, so everything below looked full enough.
Well, a great night, and hopefully I see they're putting up a teaser of BAMMA 27 announced soon, and the big rumour mill of December. I'd love to say yes, we have an exclusive, or it's back on December the 4th, but we don't know. It was rumoured, and like every rumour, you know, it has, you know, no smoke without fire and all that. But until you get it confirmed,
they're gonna have to change the name of BAMMA soon, because the amount of shows they're doing in Ireland, they're gonna have to take that B out.
Yeah, it's gonna be IMA.
Almost as bad as IMMA.
It's, you know, the talent pool here. There's a reason they're coming back. It's such a big talent here of young fighters as well. And there's a lot of fighters you got to remember that weren't on this card that could have, like the likes of Chris Fields against Paul Craig. That's going to be the next time.
Tuke fell out.
That'll be the main next show. Then you'll hopefully have Dylan Tuke back in
Mo
there.
Peter fell out.
King Cowley could be, you know, fighting again, maybe on it. There's a lot more young fighters in this country that would be on it as well, and you know, more experienced guys as well. The likes of Kiefer Crosby was pulled from the card. I'm just trying to think. I'm doing this completely oblivious to myself, thinking out loud. But there's a lot of Team Rhino like Patrick Wicksted and the likes of that I'm sure would fight again on the BAMMA scene. So congratulations to everybody involved. BAMMA, great night. Well done. Lads, I'm going to have to leave your call here, but I just wanted to say as well is check out Cage Warriors and check out Paddy the Baddy Pimplett. He got the win. He's now the featherweight champion over there. There's a lot of back and forth with Paddy and Dylan Tuke not too long ago. Great interview with the Severe MMA guys over in the UK, where he's basically saying that he'll be remembered more than Conor or any other champion from Cage Warriors, and they were asking him, are you going to stick around to defend it? And to a sort of a cheeky grin that it looks like possibly he could be going to UFC for Belfast. The Echo Arena was absolutely, the roof was taken off when Pimblett won. Didn't win by submission, in case you're guessing. He got the TKO. But yeah, that's another guy that is an absolutely world beater, and he could get the call to BAMMA or to BAMMA to UFC. Sorry. But yeah, so I'm gonna leave these lads and let's just break down UFC 202. Just what quickly, I shouldn't really say it. What a weird fucking main event.
Yeah, it was odd.
Holy fucking, I knock you out, you knock me out, craziness, and then the whole awkwardness of the tap.
Yeah, that was so fucking awkward.
That was on television, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was, It was more awkward than
games, though, wasn't he? No?
Yeah,
Where'd you see the tap? I'd
say Rogan was in a more awkward position than when he was on Fear Factor watching people eating fucking bull fucking sperm and shit and all this bollocks.
Yeah, they just, but the way, all he was short of saying was fucking. Like, where's the fuck?
Yeah.
That's all he was
it was so awkward because over him was like, did you see the top there? And over him just looking at him like, yeah, I didn't see it. It's just like, Rogan
did start to say later on when the show wrapped, he turned around and said he doesn't think he should be interviewing fighters after.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Carl made a good point saying that he was just knocked out. Maybe he felt something, you know, given the benefit of the doubt. I wouldn't be surprising he was fucking just got knocked out literally 30 seconds later. So
it was weird. It was a very weird card, though, wasn't it? It wasn't. Like,
it was strange.
CM Punk. I just like I usually going to talk about it in depth, but CM Punk, I had so much respect for him for doing what he was doing. But that's what happens when somebody fights a trained mixed martial artist. Doesn't matter if you're a good street fighter, if whatever. You get in there with somebody who's. I know Mickey Gall is only a young.
Coming from a guy who almost picked CM Punk in the end, you were so invested.
I got invested. I loved the story. You know, I put him in respect. Like CM Punk is somebody like you can't help but look up to. Like, he was bullied as a kid. He was, and he turned around. But, like, he is a great story for people and for people to get embroiled in. But that's just what happens when you go against a mixed martial artist. I happened to James Toney. James Toney was a boxer, for fuck's sake. And Randy Couture just gave me that ankle, beat him down and beat him up. And the same thing happened to CM Punk. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. Will he get another fight in the UFC? Will he drop down to the likes of a Titan or a World Series of Fighting or something like that? Yeah. But respect for him. But yeah, a weird card. Very weird card.
Very weird. We'll get on to that. You can listen back later.
Pleasure as always.
Cheers, man.
I'll talk to you during the week, alright?
Cheers. Good luck.
Best of luck now.
Carl.
Yeah.
Keep it PG after I'm gone, will you? I'm not here to look after you now. Keep it clean.
No worries.
Alright?
I'll only say filthy
Go with the
jokes.
Allow it! Right, go on.
Right.
While Noel is leaving this call, I'm going to put up the thing here. 1 second. You can fill some airtime. We're going to get onto the UFC.
Oh, so I have to talk now, do I?
You do have to talk.
Man, this is bollocks. I didn't sign up for this. What are you doing?
Okay, so we'll jump straight into the UFC that was on last night. We both watched it, and we watched the main card. So we're just gonna go main card. We didn't do predictions for this one, and thank Jesus, because it was a tough one to pick. Although I would have picked some of the fights right, but I just think that maybe on the night we would have kind of gone different ways. But we'll start at the bottom. Jessica Andrade defeated Joanne Calderwood by submission in the first round. What do you think of that fight?
Hard luck to Joanne Calderwood, because after our last fight and then the whole Instagram campaign to get her paid, like she was depending on a bonus and stuff, and coming into this fight and losing. But look, that's the way it goes. Andrade was the better fighter on the night. She took her down and just fucking strangled her. Like, it is what it is. But Andrade was actually phenomenal in that fight.
Yeah.
She took her down, just dominated the top position from the word go.
Yeah.
And like, Joanne threw up a few things trying to, I think at one point she attempted for a triangle. I can't really remember.
Yeah, she did in the fourth. Yeah, early.
She's like, Joanne, she's not a slouch off her back, but Andrade is just that much better, And
I think people make mistake looking at Andrade at the previous way she's been at. Since she's gone down, she's looked really, really good. Yeah. She's going to be a really good contender in that division, I think. Still, Joanne has a long way to go. I think, with a few improvements, she can get really good. She's been in TriStar now as well. So, unfortunately for her, I was actually rooting for her because I am a big fan. I don't know who I would have picked in that fight, but it was a good fight. Next up, Jimmy Rivera defeated Uriah Faber by decision. This is Uriah Faber's first 2-fight losing streak in his career. Yeah,
and fair fucks to Jimmy Rivera. Jimmy put on a leg kick clinic.
Yeah.
Shades of Jose Aldo in that one. But we will say earlier on in the fight, it looked like you highlighted it, Robert. It looked like Uriah broke his hand.
Yeah, it looked like it.
And that basically stunted a lot of his offense for the rest of the fight. Jimmy Rivera then just pretty much, I think it was actually in the second round when Jimmy got an eye poke.
Yeah.
By Uriah, and the referee accidentally put fucking Jimmy into his own corner.
His own corner, yeah.
And Jimmy's corner is doing what they're supposed to be doing, cornering him, but they shouldn't have been doing it at that time. You're not allowed to do it there. But before that, Jimmy wasn't throwing any leg kicks, so I think that was the moment where the corner was like, actually, the leg kick is there, throw the leg kick, So Jimmy was like, yeah, grand. It was actually a ball shot. It was a ball shot.
Yeah.
So Jimmy started throwing leg kicks. Like,
I think it was an eye poke, no? It was like the open hand slap.
No, that came in
the third.
That came in the third. And Jimmy basically came out and just started throwing the leg kicks.
Yeah.
And the first one he threw just put Uriah down.
Yeah, he caught Uriah right off balance, knocked him out from underneath. And
exactly.
Very similar to Jose Aldo.
And that was pretty much the story of the fight. In the third round then, fucking Uriah open hand slapped Jimmy, but his finger went straight into his eye.
Yeah.
And the doctors were in having a look at it or everything. We were going, geez, you might stop this. The fight continued anyway and pretty much went the same way, even though Jimmy was fighting. Like, after that, when it came to the win, he immediately turned to his corner and said, I can't see out my right eye, I think he said. Which that's not fucking good. Hopefully everything is alright there. just get fucking. I hate the fact that those gloves have an open hand and the fingers are out. It's just
it's
difficult
to.
They need to do something, just something, anything.
Jimmy Rivera though, good. I think he's going to be a good contender in that division. Just Uriah Faber couldn't really get his range, and then when he hurt his hand, or we think he hurt his hand, that made it even worse. But Rivera, he's big for that weight. He's short, but he's big for that weight class. He's strong. Has very good takedown defense. Like, very rarely do you see Uriah Faber in a fight and he doesn't get any takedowns. Couldn't even get close to it. So I was very impressed with Jimmy Rivera. And I probably would have went with Uriah Faber in that one. So that's a bit of an upset, even though...
it's a definite upset.
Even though it's 19 win streak now, or 20 could be something like that. It's a long win streak. So we're going to do a list this week. We're going to do a list of top 5 dream matches. We didn't get around to doing it because we're lazy, but one of the dream matches in each division we were going to do, and one of them was Jimmy Rivera against Cody Garbrandt, because that could be a cracking fight. That
could be a very good fight. I'd love to see that fight. There's two lads with serious power. Cody would have the better in the movement and technicality, and Jimmy Rivera, he is very technical, but he's a bit more static, like, and you'd love to see how those two different styles of striking would match up, like. That's just a fight that I'd like to see.
Rivera reminds me a little bit of flyweight John Lineker. Well, he's not flyweight anymore, he's gone up. There's a fucking great fight as well. He's gone up to bantamweight. Jesus Christ, that's a great division now, bantamweight. Up next, Mickey Gall, CM Punk. Noel touched on it a little bit. We'll get into the fight itself, and then we can talk about everything else. But it was one-way traffic, kind of what we all expected. Mickey Gall won. I do think CM Punk done some stuff to show that he does have skill in there. Just not the level of skill that you need to be a fighter in the UFC at this point.
What did he do?
Just the escape from the choke. That was nice. He retained his half guard, I think, once or twice. And again, this is a brown belt he's fighting, and a really good brown belt at that. So he done a couple of things. Like, I thought it was going to be take him down straight away and immediate. It's going to be a submission, or drop him an immediate submission. But CM Punk did show a little bit of defense down there, which, for everything that's been said, everything that's been done, his first pro fight, no amateur fights, I think he looked good for his first pro fight with no amateur experience at 34. And against a guy who is clearly head and shoulders better. 36. Is he 39?
39.
Fuck me. But I didn't expect him to look great, or good, or even okay. And he just looked like he probably should have. He didn't look worse than that. He looked fine. But he got beat up by a guy who he should have got beat up by.
He looked like someone that has never fought in his life. Status had done a year and a half's training and went in against.
But I think
mixed martial arts.
I was watching the post show that MMA Fighting done, and I thought he made a good point. He wasn't on the lower end of that. He wasn't like, he didn't know what he was doing at all. Like, on the ground, you could see when he was on his back, he was doing the right things. It's just Mickey Gall was a whole lot better.
Mickey Gall has everything he does. He's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. Everything he does is fucking refined. It's a lovely sharpened tool, like, you know what I mean? And for everything that CM Punk was, trying to defend, he's trying to defend something that's happening now. So the whole time he's just reactionary. Whereas Mickey Gall's on his back, he's thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. Like, he's setting things up. Like, and CM Punk just isn't on that level. No. Like, you know what I mean?
And so nobody expected him to be there.
No.
So on the fight itself, Mickey Gall wins. It's a good fella in his cap, not for he's always going to be the guy who beats CM Punk from now on. Unfortunately, until he beats Sage Northcutt, then he'll be the guy who beats CM Punk and Sage Northcutt, or if he beats Sage Northcutt. But the whole thing, what do you take from the actual experience seeing it? I know straight away after you said you didn't like it, you didn't like what happened, you didn't agree with it. So
just didn't get any enjoyment out of watching that. I watch mixed martial arts because it's competition. And I love seeing competitive fights. That, to me, that's not entertainment, you know what I mean? That's not competition. That's just... it's pointless. Like, there's no meaning to that. If it's not even a competition, what's the point? You know,
I know what you mean. Yeah, like it was pointless from a sporting perspective overall.
Like and
in that way,
I'm not saying it doesn't demean the sport. It doesn't demean Mickey Gall. It doesn't really demean CM Punk. It doesn't demean Dana White or the UFC. Like it's just there's literally no point in having that fight. I'm not insulted by it.
Yeah,
it's not on that level or anything. But there's literally this is competition at the highest level. CM Punk. Never mind if he's 39. If one of the Gracies now come in that's 39, that's completely different. You know what I mean? It's nothing to do with his age. It's just they shouldn't have put that fight on. I'm not saying that CM Punk shouldn't have been there, but I definitely think that he should have been fucking protected from himself. You're going in there against now a 3-0 Mickey Gall who has had a good amateur career, who is a brown belt in jiu-jitsu and is a legit mixed martial artist. Like, could have seriously fucking hurt CM Punk if he wanted to. If you ask me,
he did try. I think
if you ask me, Mickey Gall was being very polite by going for the submission because he could have made that very bloody and much worse. And even then, Robert, you said yourself that you were surprised that it didn't finish in 30 seconds with a quick submission. That'd be even kinder again.
No, yeah, it would.
Mickey Gall fucking put beating on him for what I think was 3.5 minutes. Like, it's just. I got no entertainment out of that fight whatsoever. I was sitting there the whole time going, right, let's just get this over and done with so we can move on. I did say in the past, like, what the fuck, like, it's such a stupid fight or whatever. Like, I've been a critic of it, like, but even now, I'll be even a bigger critic of it again.
Yeah.
It's not that, as I've said, it's not that I'm insulted by it. I just don't see the point where putting the UFC across as the highest level of mixed martial arts competition on the planet, and it clearly is that, then don't put this fight on. Yeah. Just don't, like, you know what I mean?
A couple of points from MMA Fighting post show I think were good points. This isn't new. And Ariel made a good point saying the people who love Pride and were cheering when Alistair came out to the Pride music, we'll talk about that. And some of them same people are saying, oh well, this is, this would never happen in real sport or whatever, but they were Pride fans, which this happened in Pride all the time.
Yeah, I am.
Exactly.
I am a Pride fan. But Pride was very different to the UFC.
Yeah.
It was in a different era.
Different
Pride were doing those freak show fights to garner attraction to the sport. And that's at the time when, especially here in the Western world, mixed martial arts was seen as fucking barbaric. And even then, it's still shaking off some of that stigma. So it was very different then. Now, mixed martial arts, especially the UFC, is seen as the world's most premier sport. You know what I mean? It's the highest level of competition that there is.
Yeah.
And to do that, it's just fucking ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous. There's no point. The hazards of recording at home.
Yeah.
Tea break. As I was saying, Pride was very different to the UFC. The UFC is in a position now where it's recognised as the world's leading mixed martial arts organisation and competition. Pride, well, at that time, it was the highest level. It was still trying to garner attraction, and that's what those freak show fights were for. Yeah. They had a place, and they had a place and a time.
Yeah.
They don't have a place and a time now.
Yeah,
that's the way I look at it.
Fair enough. I don't know which way I stand. Like, I don't think it should happen again. It was a silly fight, but I do think that any bad reactions, negative thoughts or whatever, shouldn't be labelled as CM Punk.
No,
like, because you can say to him, you shouldn't have been in there. Fair enough, but if he wants to fight, he wants to fight MMA. He wants to fight MMA. If he's offered a huge paycheck by the UFC to fight in the UFC, he's gonna take that. That's on the promoter. If you think it was a bad decision for him to fight in that card, that's on the promoter. So aim at the UFC.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That fight shouldn't have been made.
Yeah,
not saying that CM Punk doesn't deserve to be in there. No, I don't think he does. But what I'm saying is the fight shouldn't have been made.
Yeah,
CM Punk was made an offer. CM Punk accepted that offer.
Yeah.
The offer shouldn't have been made in the first place. Yeah. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I would like to see him, fight somebody lower level, but you can't really bring anyone lower level than Mickey Gall. Not saying Mickey Gall's a bad fighter. He's a very, very good fighter.
Mickey Gall got
good young
stick.
fighter. Yeah, he did. I love his walk in, by the way.
Yeah.
But he's a very good fighter. But really bringing in anyone lower than him, like the fella he fought first, Mike Jackson, would have been probably closer to the level of CM Punk, even though Mike Jackson has some experience too.
Yeah.
But you just couldn't bring anyone in more lower level than that, to the UFC, even though CM Punk had 0-0, but he had the name.
Yeah.
So I don't know where he's going to go from here. I honestly don't see him fighting again, just for the fact that I don't know if the UFC want to do it again.
Yeah.
Because they'll have to bring someone in even lower level.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, is he going to... Like, if they cut him, will he go to somewhere like Bellator? Maybe.
Even then, it's not safe for him to go to
True,
Bellator.
but
Bellator has killers.
True, but Bellator will give him someone on their prelims who has one fight, like who literally has like 2 amateur fights. There's a lot more room to work there. But I don't know if the UFC will want to do that. I don't know if Bellator can pay him. Maybe they can. Yeah. But I'm not saying that CM Punk shouldn't fight MMA. I just don't think he should fight on a UFC card again.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing against CM Punk. I'm actually a big fan.
You've been following CM Punk
years ago.
You used to watch him in fucking Ring of Honor.
Yeah,
I'll never forget that.
Yeah, about fucking 8-9 years ago. So
not much longer than that. That was a stint with the WWE.
Yeah, Jesus, that would have been longer.
Much longer. Would have been
15.
only kids.
About 12, 13 years. Yeah, so crazy. And I think he's a very nice guy. I think he showed some skill in there, better than I expected. Thought he would have been out there a lot quicker.
Yeah.
But probably shouldn't be in there again. And that's all I can really say.
Fair enough.
I like what Mickey Gall said after the fight, though.
I did, yeah.
That was very, very good, yeah.
Calling out Sage and
all
cutting
do
everything. Because you know what? Mickey Gall, he's not a fucking idiot. Clearly he's not an idiot.
He's smart dude, yeah.
You know he's going, like, people are saying, like, oh, you fucking beat CM Punk, big whoop. Like, CM Punk was, in terms of mixed martial arts, he's a fucking nobody. Like, he has no skill or whatever. So he's getting a lot of shit because of that. So what do? You call out the one person that a lot of people seem to hate.
Yeah, in a way, for bad reasons.
I don't see why Sage gets so much hate. Like, you know what I mean?
No.
I know it's the whole contract thing.
Because he's 19.
And he's
20.
ridiculously fucking hot. She's like, Jesus Christ, that man is bleeding crazy good looking. It's ridiculous. Like, I'd be afraid to bleed and touch him in case I get done for being
he's a very good he's a very good looking man, but he's real. Like, if I was a woman, this is just getting to a weird conversation. He's real, like, fake or goofy looking in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's real, like...
he looks like a fucking Ken doll.
Yeah, like, it's... Yeah, like, and no disrespect. You're welcome on the show anytime.
Yeah.
You can come onto this big screen in my
Just
gaff.
saying, if I was a woman, I'd present myself.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. And if you're a man.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Up next, before this gets even weirder, Fabricio... Well, it's going to get weirder. Fabricio Verdum versus Travis Brown. First 10 seconds of this fight, Fabricio Verdum threw a jumping fucking sweet chin music type kick and landed it.
Sweet chin music.
Yeah, but it was... Yeah, this fight was very strange. I think afterwards... Fucking Budgie's gone mental. Yeah. Afterwards was even weirder, but the fight was a bit mad and... Yeah.
Fucking Budgie's gone mental. Yeah, the fight itself was very fucking strange.
Yeah.
Fabricio Verdum was throwing strange shit. Yeah, he was throwing capoeira kicks, rolling thunders.
Yeah.
He threw everything but the fucking kitchen sink, like, you know what I mean? You highlighted it as well, Robert. He was carrying a little bit more body fat than usual.
Definitely, yeah.
But even then, his cardio didn't look too bad.
I did read that he potentially had an injury, a foot injury, and he couldn't do any cardio or something. Right, if that's true or not, but whatever.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Then,
if it's true, we'll take that as true.
But even then, his cardio didn't look awful. He looked like a heavyweight, obviously.
Yeah.
We've seen him look better in the past, but wherever it is where it is, Fabricio got the win, but it was an odd fight. Now, I enjoyed it. It was competitive, but it was an odd fight.
Yeah.
Like the eye poke, jeez, I don't even know when that happened because Verdum didn't even react to that.
No,
he just done that.
He done that.
And then that was it.
Yeah, and you pointed out that you've seen an eye poke, and you thought maybe the fight ended. You're like, I don't know if it did, but it was a terrible eye poke.
Yeah.
That must have been it, and he barely reacted. But that fucking thing was like knuckle deep.
It was down to the knuckle. Yeah, it was down to the knuckle. Like he was nearly fucking fisted him. Like, you know, it was awful. But then Fabricio Verdum anyway got the win. One judge scored a 29-26.
Yeah, so
that's strange scoring. Like, so the scoring was like so very odd.
Yeah, very weird.
And then fucking Edson bleeding, talking shit again. But like, I understand what Edmund, sorry, yeah, Edson Barbosa. Edmund, yeah, he's clearly a very passionate coach.
Yeah,
but that gets him a lot of shtick.
Shtick,
you know, and he was talking shit to Verdum last night, and Verdum comes across as a very friendly person, very nice bloke. He's a bit of a laugher and a bit of a joker, and that's great to see. But if you insult a man, he's ready to throw down. And I think Edmund didn't realise what he was doing, and that he was talking shit to Verdum, and Verdum just fucking kicked him in the body.
Yeah.
And as soon as he kicked him, did you notice that Edmund didn't come back?
Yeah.
He went on the missing list.
That,
He was like,
apparently he was dragged out of the cage.
Was he? Yeah. Right, good, because he should have been.
Yeah. I thought as well, like, Travis Brown's demeanour was weird. Like, he didn't even like go for Verdum saying, what you kick him for?
No.
So I don't know if that's a sign that Edmund said something fucking stupid, but Edmund's, you know, very polarising figure. Yeah. That's the first thing I said after the it's gonna be Reddit is gonna love fucking Verdum after this. Reddit fucking hate Edmund. They're gonna love him. Yeah. Weird fight. I thought Verdum looked okay. I didn't think
he definitely won the fight.
He definitely won the fight. Travis didn't look bad.
No.
I just think it was a very weirdly paced fight or something.
Yeah.
There was, you know, clearly Verdum wanted to get it to the floor.
Yeah.
He didn't mind standing. He was winning on the striking battle, but he did want it to the floor, so he's kind of throwing these weird techniques to try to get it there. It wasn't happening, but Travis couldn't capitalise on what Verdum was kind of doing, you know.
Just, you know, out of curiosity, there was a few times where Verdum tried to pull guard.
Yeah.
And it got nowhere near guard. Does that count as a failed takedown attempt? Obviously it does. So do you score that for Travis?
Yeah, but not hugely, because he wasn't, I don't know, yeah.
It's a different technique.
It's a weird one.
It's weird,
yeah.
like, I don't know.
Strange.
I think that should be a bit more.
But then you wouldn't really call a pull guard a successful takedown, though, would you?
I think you have to open your mind.
MMA scoring's weird.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I think you have to open your mind to that one, because I think it has to be, if the fighter on the bottom wants to go there, and you get put there and you don't want to go there, then.
Yeah,
that should be a point
I do know in jiu-jitsu tournaments, some of them they don't score it because they don't want it, because people just pull guard all the time. Because it's fairly handy to pull guard. In
jiu-jitsu is different to MMA.
Yeah, it's true.
Jiu-jitsu you don't strike.
That's true.
So if you're fighting a striker, you know, that's what Travis Brown predominantly is.
Yeah.
If you're fighting a striker and you pull guard and you take him to the ground, and we all know he doesn't want to be there based on his style, past fights, his history, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Then you're kind of going like, Jesus, should that be scored?
Yeah.
For Verdum.
Yeah, it's, you know? Yeah, I suppose, but I think, you know, even if that's still a failed takedown, I wouldn't score it for Travis Brown anyway.
Sorry,
But I don't, like, we'll talk about who's next for everybody after the main event, but we'll get straight to the main event. Stipe Miocic defeated Alistair Overeem by KO in the first, wasn't it? Yeah, the first round. This was a crazy fight. Noel touched on it before he left. It looked like Overeem might have had it. He hurt him bad with a right strike, I think it was. Miocic was kind of chasing him. It was actually similar to the Miocic and Verdum fight, where he was chasing him around the cage. Alistair was kind of running. But then he landed. Then he landed a big right or a big left. I'm not sure what punch it was, but dropped him. Got the guillotine. I thought that was it. Like, I thought it was done. It looked like it was in tight, but Miocic done a good job rolling away from it. Got back to the feet, and then Miocic put the pressure on and ended up finishing him. What did you think of the fight? Do you think that obviously Alistair, got knocked out, and I don't think there was any tap there.
Nah,
but what did you think of the performance by Miocic?
Cagey. You know.
Do you think the crowd got to him a little bit, or? Like, he's pushing forward quite a lot. Like, he was chasing, and you could see at times.
Not necessarily. Miocic is a pressure fighter.
Yeah.
I think he was doing what he does.
Yeah.
I think Alistair Overeem had very good striking. He caught him.
Yeah.
I think that's all there is.
Fair play to him for taking that punch, and because a lot of people would have went out there, because Alistair Overeem, people talk about his striking, but he has more submission victories than anything.
Yeah.
Not that his ground game is better, but he has great chokes. His guillotine is tight.
Like, you know, Miocic is that pressure fighter, and Alistair was well aware of that. And as he came forward, you're right in what you said, Robert. It's similar to Verdum's fight with Miocic. He got caught.
Yeah.
But the one difference there is that Stipe didn't come running forward with his hands down. It was actually in an exchange that Stipe got caught.
Yeah.
So it's slightly different in that respect. But it went to the ground. Clearly Stipe was hurt. Alistair hopped onto a guillotine choke, and there was lovely adjustment in there from Stipe to defend the choke.
Yeah, he almost went. Yeah,
he went belly down, and it was kind of turned into like a north-south choke.
Yeah.
And
Stipe on top, wasn't it?
Bit of hand fighting or whatever there to release the choke, like. And it was in that exchange that later on in the fight, Alistair thought that Stipe tapped, but
yeah, there was nothing there.
That's we'll get to that. Goes back to the feet. Stipe's chasing him for a bit. With every exchange that Alistair was losing, he literally would turn his back and run.
Yeah.
And that to me signifies the type of training that Alistair is doing. It's protect your chin at all costs.
Which is a good idea for Alistair, I think. For the most part.
It didn't work.
Didn't work there, but it has been working recently.
It had worked, but I'd like to see him do something different than turn your back to your opponent.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That's not smart. It's just not an effective way to fight. I think in those exchanges of Alistair, I think Alistair really needs to incorporate more takedowns into his game. That will then stop your opponent from throwing willy-nilly on you on the feet. Yeah. It's in those exchanges when Stipe is coming forward that's the perfect time to drop down and shoot. Obviously, much easier said than done, but I think it's a better option than turning your back.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of. Yeah,
I definitely think it is. I think if you drive through for that power double, or try pick a single, whatever you need to do, that then puts doubt into your opponent's mind of, right, we've never really seen this before. He's not just, because Alistair's not just a one-trick pony. He's not just a striker. He's a very accomplished mixed martial artist. He's a very good fighter. So I think he needed to drop down for that. You know what I mean? But he didn't. I definitely think when he comes back, he should incorporate that rather than just run away.
Yeah.
I understand he's protecting his chin, but on a takedown, you can protect your chin.
Yeah. I was impressed with Miocic's ground and pound when he got to the floor.
Yeah.
Really, he controlled him and then landed the big shots. Alistair went completely out.
Yeah.
It was a good stoppage. I think there was one or two extra shots in there, but it's difficult to kind of get in there quick. But big win from Miocic. I was quite impressed. He did get caught. I'm sure he'll make adjustments there. But the crowd was amazing. I love when they go to these guys' hometowns, like when Conor fought in Dublin, when like Bisping fights in Manchester or wherever, somewhere in England. It's great because you kind of get that. I think the crowd adds to the event. If the crowd is dull, it can kind of reflect on the event in a little bit. It can reflect on the fights. So I'd love to see Miocic. If they're going to do the Kane fight, if they're going to do whatever, we can talk about that. But I'd love to see if they go back to Cleveland, because why not? Like, it's bring your champions back to their home countries, like it's our home states. So we'll just run through the card really quickly and get who do you think is next for. So we'll start with the Jessica Andrade fight. It's a tough one because it's not a hugely deep division. But Jessica Andrade, who'd you put her in there against? That is women's strawweight.
Strawweight. That's Joanna's division, isn't it?
I think a good fight is former contender in Gadella. Although Gadella is coming off a loss, that's the only problem. But it is a good fight.
It doesn't usually.
It doesn't apply to contenders,
exactly. Usually they're not afraid of making that. Yeah, that's the fight there, I think.
Would you be surprised if they gave her the title shot? No, wouldn't surprise me a whole lot.
It's so thin that they might,
and there's not really anyone competitive there.
And the fact that she's fighting on a main card of a pay-per-view tells you that they obviously put good stock in her. So she probably will. Just for the winner, so Jimmy Rivera, bantamweight. There's a lot of good fights in there. You have to do it. That fight.
What about Cody against Dom?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Who'd you put in there with Dom? Would you let Dom wait?
Let Dom have a rest.
Yeah.
Let him have a rest. I think Dom just sit out for a couple of months. Or
does he want it, though, after taking so much time off? That's the problem.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Depends as well how fit he is, Yeah,
I know.
I like that fight too.
That's the fight I want want to see.
Bantamweight. If you're not going to do that fight, do John Lineker.
Yeah, it's a very
John
good
Lineker
fight as well. Yeah.
We'll go Mickey Gall. He made a match of himself.
Sage Norco. You have to make
Sage
that
Norco,
fight.
no doubt. Fabricio Verdum, this is where it gets interesting. So we have Fabricio Verdum would be Travis Brown, and then we obviously have Ken Velasquez waiting in the wings for a possible title shot. We were talking about this last night. You weren't sure on what way you were going.
No,
today.
Still, Fabricio Verdum has to fight Ken Velasquez for the number 1 contender.
Think so?
They're both coming off a loss. Coming into their last fight, they've both beaten Travis Brown.
Yeah.
Ken Velasquez, his name carries a lot of weight, so that's why people are putting his name forward for that title shot.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it's necessary right now. I think you could squeeze out 2 pay-per-views, one for a number 1 contender spot and then one for the title shot.
Yeah, I think
Stipe has had his first fight to win the title and now his second fight to retain the title in quick succession. So I definitely think Stipe will be thinking about sitting out for a couple of months.
he might be forced to after nearly been knocked out too.
Exactly. So I think that fight makes sense.
Yeah, I think if Stipe Miocic is going to sit out, or if he's going to be forced to sit out, and Fabricio Verdum isn't too injured, he apparently did have an injury going in, so if he doesn't need surgery, I doubt it's that kind of injury. But if he's okay, and maybe 2-3 months down the line, do Verdum versus Velasquez rematch, that's a big fight. Winner of that gets title shot. Yeah, I'll be all for that. Yeah. So that puts Miocic. We kind of covered that. Miocic against the winner of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we didn't do the quickfire news. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna run through a couple of things on Reddit.
Yeah,
because that's where we get the news from, and we'll just talk about that.
This is like our other podcast.
Yeah, it's in development. Yeah, it's in development. Potentially. So first one that I'm gonna find is this is difficult. Yeah. This is just a rumor, but we'll go for it. Aussie news outlet suggests Anderson versus Whittaker may happen in Melbourne. Anderson versus Robert Whittaker. What do you think of that fight?
Shit, that's a good fight.
Yeah, that's a very good fight.
Good fight for Robert Whittaker.
Yeah, huge.
Big step up in competition.
Yeah.
Like, people are saying, like, Anderson's not the same, but I tell you what, if you get a win over the legend that is Anderson Silva, you'd be putting your fucking name in the hat for further advancement in your division. Yeah, it's a good fight. Also, Luke Rockhold versus Jacare Souza was announced for that card, so that's the main event there. That's an absolute, that's a cracking fight.
That's
a cracking
when
fight.
We were going to do that list of the top 5 dream matches, or top 5 matches to make in each division. In 5 divisions, that was the one that we were looking at. Luke Rockhold versus Jacare at middleweight, because Bisping has a fight. There's not there's some good fights there for Bisping, but I don't think they're matches we really want to see.
No.
But that's a good one. I like that main event. I seen something just there. What do you think of Mickey Gall's walkout music?
Love it.
Yeah,
love it. Absolutely perfect.
Gimmick.
The fact that Dana White was going to stop that, and then the power of the internet stepped in, and they were all like, "No, fuck you, Baldy Nugget. We're doing it." It's brilliant, because you know what it is, man. Soon as you hear, "Hey Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind." Hey Mickey. Soon as you hear that, you go, "Fucking Mickey Gall's a legend."
Yeah.
That's deadly.
Yeah.
That's class. It's recognisable. It's like Brock walking in with Enter Sandman.
Yeah.
Except Brock's is like an erect penis and Mickey Gall's like a slapped arse.
Joe Rogan on Twitter, I think Noel mentioned this, but we might as well talk a little bit about it. I asked the UFC brass if we could refrain from interviewing fighters after they've been KO'd. I don't think it was wise nor fair. Do you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Why is a fighter being interviewed after being knocked the fuck out?
Yeah.
First priority, if you're going on about fighter safety, get him into the EMTs immediately. Get him a CAT scan, make sure everything is alright. There's no way he should be even standing in that octagon talking to Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's been done for years. Fighters have done that for a very long time, but times are changing.
Yeah.
Get them into the hospital first. Not saying that fucking Alistair has fucking brain damage, of course, but there's always the risk of something like that happening. And poor Alistair there last night made a fucking show of himself. And I'm putting that down to the fact that he got knocked the fuck out.
He clearly wasn't all there.
Yeah, that's where I'm putting that down to. No, I don't think that it's Alistair trying to talk shit about Stipe Miocic. I don't think that it's, it was done just to be negative in any way.
Try to be controversial.
I genuinely think that Alistair wasn't in control of his senses and that this was some sort of fucking phantom memory. That's what I genuinely think. I'm not a fucking brain surgeon. I don't know these things, but that's just my fucking theory on it. If you don't like it, go fuck yourself.
John Jones on Twitter. This is kind of fun. John Jones on Twitter said Stipe is legit. Will be the fight of a lifetime. So if that fight was ever happen, John Jones comes back. He's off everything. He's not doing the stuff that he's been doing. He's not knocking people down. He's not a danger to his own well-being. John Jones versus Stipe Miocic, a heavyweight. Who are you picking?
Can I say I don't care? Can I?
You can say if you don't care if you want.
Is that a legit option?
That's a legit option, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't give a fuck about John Jones. I've lost all respect for him. I don't care.
Fair enough.
I really don't.
There was his kind of suspension now has been put into question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because of stuff.
If he comes back.
Yeah. If he puts that, I'll withhold that and I'll like the Misha Tate thing.
Even then, I still don't care.
Yeah.
Because you still had a tainted supplement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. So even then, I don't care because you're being sloppy in your preparation. Especially John. John has no excuse for that. None whatsoever. He has the money and the resources. It's different if you're a first fighter coming in and you're only getting a fucking $2,000 for your first or second appearance. Like, John's on how much money? Yeah. John has that money and resource there.
Yeah, John Jones is, as some of you would say, a silly bollocks at times. Yeah. Go for another one here. We just might as well go through a few of this. Phil Brooks, CM Punk, signed a 3-fight contract with the UFC according to his friend. And I think, according to the thumbnail, it looks like it's Booker T who said it. So if that's true, CM Punk signed a 3-fight contract. Not surprising. They never really sign 1-fight contracts with fighters anyway. And that doesn't mean they're going to fulfill those 3 fights. But I'm assuming, based on what we talked about, you don't really want to see another CM Punk fight in the UFC.
Not at that level.
No.
I'd watch CM Punk fight on a regional circuit 100%, not in the UFC.
Yeah, like imagine if they done, like, remember in Ireland, I don't know if anyone's seen this, but the dude, what's his name now? He wrote for entertainment.ie, he wrote for Joe.ie, I can't remember his name. Big MMA fan, he trains up on Team Rhino, but he done that documentary where he filmed his training. They took an amateur fight.
I know the guy.
Yeah. Like if CM Punk done something like that, went through all that training and then took an amateur fight. Yeah. Perfect. It's just the problem is the whole, he's a big name. They're not going to put him in a fucking a small show.
Set up the punklife.com, do all that, and then get yourself an amateur fight. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Anything else? Yeah, I think that's it. We'll leave it at that. So, not too much else to talk about. Check out all the interviews on the YouTube page because we've done some good interviews there with a few of the lads. We're going to try to get to more shows. Yeah. We were discussing that.
Possibly trying to go up to Belfast.
We'll try to go up to Belfast for the UFC. Good experience, I have to say. I enjoyed it there. It would have been better if we had a couple of screens a bit earlier. Yeah. But it was good experience. The BAMMA people are very good. Treated us very well.
Yeah, they did.
So thanks to them. Check out all the videos. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel if you're watching it here. Subscribe to iTunes. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Twitter. Facebook is obviously Fight Talk. Twitter is talk_fight. We're on Instagram, obviously Fight Talk, I think. And everywhere else. Yeah. Anything else?
Thank you to MMAmix.com for helping share all of our content. Go check them out for all your mixed martial arts needs, as Noel would say. And also thank you to our second home, Whiskey Fir. Yeah. Whiskey Fir, where you can get a nice cup of tea or a pint of Guinness. They will fulfill your needs.
We'll work on that.
Yeah.
It was like the really awkward advertisements. We have a new logo, so this is actually outdated.
Yeah, it is.
People who are listening to this on audio don't know what we're talking about, but we have a new logo, so that one's gone. We'll have new t-shirts Because the last one they couldn't. We were trying to post them out to people who were trying to get them, and post just wasn't happening.
No, wasn't happening.
So
on post, they're a bunch of cunts.
Bunch of cunts.
Bunch of cunts.
Yeah.
Them and their stupid green vans.
Yeah. So thanks again for listening. Safe home, as Noel says, and yeah. Good night.
Ramble
Good morning.
on.